This week marks 1 month since Brian McCluney and Justin Walker, two off-duty firefighters, went fishing and vanished. Despite a massive search by the Coast Guard and hundreds of volunteers, a small tackle bag found floating off the coast of St. Augustine is the only sign of them that's ever been found.
Brian McCluney's wife invited us inside her home, and tonight she is opening up about her husband lost at sea. There's a palpable presence in Stephanie McCluney's home. Her husband's uniform, a reminder of the void he's left behind.
Just couldn't say enough about the caliber of a man that he was. Just see if I can find the picture that my mom had always said. This is the one where she knew.
High school sweethearts.
He was the football player and I was the dancer from the dance team.
Best friends.
He was loyal to a fault.
Father to a 6- and 8-year-old.
I mean, they were his world.
Brian McCluney loved to serve.
And then that's him during the push through Fallujah.
First in the Navy, then with Jacksonville Fire Rescue. 2 tours to Iraq, Stephanie holds on to his Purple Heart.
He never shared the wounds. He just said there was an IED.
After he returned from Iraq, he decided to become a firefighter.
He needed the brotherhood, the service.
Stephanie introduced her husband to her friend Justin Walker years earlier, and when Brian decided to go to fire school, he asked Justin to join him.
Justin said, "I think you're right. Yes, I'm gonna do it."
Justin ended up joining the fire department in Fairfax, Virginia, Brian in Jacksonville, but they stayed close.
Well, I mean, they were so similar in so many ways, like a heart for people.
Friday, August 16th, they were headed out of Port Canaveral, where Brian grew up, on a fishing trip in a 24-foot boat that belonged to Brian's father.
So his father had passed away about 6 weeks before. Very unexpected, just surprise that rocked the entire family. It was time to sell his dad's boat, but he wanted to make sure it ran and he wouldn't sell it without knowing.
He was going to drive back to Jacksonville that night.
Really didn't think anything of it because it was a trip that he and Justin had done so many times.
But by 5 p.m. that evening, Stephanie could see her text to her husband had not been read.
It was quite quickly that we decided it's time to call Coast Guard.
The Coast Guard received a report of an overdue 24-foot white Robalo with a black T-top with 2 people on board.
The Coast Guard and Jacksonville Fire Rescue, along with numerous agencies and hundreds of volunteers in their own boats and planes, started scouring the Atlantic. 2 days later, a glimmer of hope. Small tackle bag found off the coast of St. Augustine.
But it was just strategically packed. All the heavy things he'd taken out, he zipped it right back up and dropped it in the water. Like, that was just saying, come get us, we're here.
After searching from Central Florida to New England, an area roughly the size of Montana, the Coast Guard made the grueling decision to call off the search after 6 days.
We have simply reached a point where our ability to search in a given location are no longer allowing us to search with any reasonable degree or probability of success.
I mean, that was a very kind of a devastating time, but I have no doubt that everything humanly possible was done.
And do you think the boat had some type of mechanical problem?
That was my initial kind of gut, saying there was something that just didn't go well mechanically, electronically. I don't really know, but that was my gut.
Do you think that your husband and Justin are still alive?
I really don't know how to answer it. I mean, I have this hope, of course, but then I also have to face kind of that pragmatic reality of life as well.
The hardest part for her, the questions from her children.
Connor, the youngest one, he's 6. He is very much like, well, well, Daddy's not here and Daddy's in heaven. And Bryn will say, well, Mommy, he could still come back, next week, right? Couldn't he? Couldn't he come back next week?
But she says they're resilient.
When they say prayers at night, they say, okay, Daddy, or God, give a kiss to Daddy, give him a hug, tell him we miss him. And they're just fine with that. They know maybe he's up there and he's in good hands.
Relying on God to sustain her, her faith is unwavering.
What do you think happened to your husband?
I really don't know, and I really actually try not to go there in my head very much. I try to just say, I don't know, and I may never know, and that's okay with me.
Humbled by the outpouring of support, grateful for all of the prayers and all of the volunteer search efforts, Stephanie says the love shown to her has been overwhelming.
If you ever doubt humanity, don't. I could never begin to say thank you to everybody.
Now what she asks for is prayers. Prayers for her family who misses their hero.
So the shell was from a beach trip that we had gone probably last month or so.
Everything here is just as he left it, except for this picture frame, which his children have now decorated for their daddy. Now, Stephanie posted on Facebook tonight that she was at her son's first flag football practice. She said tears just started streaming down her face as she thought about how her husband should be there. But then she says she looked up and this beautiful rainbow appeared in the sky, reminding her, she says, of God's promises.
And I'm just amazed, Heather, how strong she's been through all of this.
That's what really stands out to you when you talk to her and you meet her. She's just so genuine, and she has such a strong faith. She believes God is giving her the strength to endure. That's who she credits.
So what's next for her?
So I asked her what's next, and she told me she's in the process right now of planning a big party. She says she wants to celebrate her husband because she knows that's what he would want.
I definitely believe that.